Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run through the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days. So it doesn't look like there will be too much rain over the next 5 days, but it will be pretty chilly in some regions as we do pull in an easterly flow, and that will mean many areas, especially towards coastal areas in the east, but even further inland through the eastern half of the British Isles will feel chilly at times. And of course, not only will the easterly flow make it feel a bit cool, but we'll also have pretty cold air masses in general. As I said, the only positive really is that it is looking drier than we anticipated a couple of days ago. The rainfall at the moment isn't quite as heavy as we thought, and as we head into tomorrow and the following days, it's not quite as extensive in precipitation bands and convective activity as well. As we head into the longer range though, as we see on the GFS, GEM, ECWF and the ensembles, we will stay cool at least the next sort of 3 to 5 days, but it is on an upwards trend, and perhaps by next weekend things could look a bit warmer, upper air temperatures increasing, and we are looking likely to be generally under higher pressure. As I said though, the only unfortunate thing is it's likely to be under an easterly flow, which will always take a bit off those temperatures for eastern areas, which will not be great. So the best conditions probably will be further west, something we don't normally say in the UK with our prevailing wind in from the west. But over the course of the next 5 days, perhaps even longer, best conditions will be further westwards for for sunshine amounts and for temperatures. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. And remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So do start on the live radar. You can see we've got a precipitation band heading southwards and eastwards at the moment. This is nowhere near as extensive as we thought a couple of days ago. It was showing quite a big area of rain as early as maybe Friday or Thursday time, but it's much more patchy, so areas of thick cloud along this with some areas of moderate rain. Now ahead of this, there could be some heavy thundery showers breaking out this afternoon, but as I'm recording this around 1:30, we're not seeing those showers break out yet. You can see sort of the thundery outlook we have across parts of Europe with these showers, and we're expecting to see a few of these, but they haven't broken out so far. One heavy shower off the coast of Sunderland, but nothing else as of yet. It's just generally pretty pleasant, sunny, and really quite warm today in quite a few areas, but unfortunately that warm air that we have got today, and really only today, is getting swept away by cold air behind this weather front. Now, if you do put on the temperatures, as I said, around 1:30, it is very warm across parts of England and Wales. Ahead of that weather front, which is sitting towards sort of Liverpool, North Wales, up towards Northern England, we can see more of these blue colours mixing in. It's a lot of oranges, some even deeper oranges in the far south, and up towards the northeast as well. And the Midlands, seeing temperatures around that 20 to 22 degree mark quite widely. You can already see a little bit nippy along this East Anglia region. So we've got some slightly cooler air moving in, and that's an area of cooler conditions will be more prevalent through tomorrow. You can see behind the weather front though, much cooler, yellows and blues mixing in, so temperatures more towards the low teens, if not struggling into the double digits, and that sort of air mass will be spreading in for all. So England and Wales at the moment just seeing a slice of what much of Europe is seeing at the moment. But yeah, we're going to be swept away by Arctic air as we head into tomorrow. So do now have a look at the UKV and have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days. You can see that through the rest of today we will see that rain move through. Could be some heavy showers breaking out, perhaps peaking really around sort of 3-4 p.m. And eventually that rain band does move through, sort of disintegrate as it does, giving some patchy rain in the south and the east through this evening. As we head into Monday, it's going to be a much cooler day with that colder air mass moving in, and there could be a few showers as that wind starts to veer in from the east. Now, as we head into Tuesday, still reasonably dry, and again, more of a northerly or northeasterly flow here. By Tuesday afternoon, again, could be a few showers, but nothing too bad. This will continue into Wednesday. Once again, more rain coming in from the northerly, going round that higher pressure system that is sitting to our west, and again, a northerly or easterly flow, and it just continues all the way into Thursday, and most likely Friday too, before we could see perhaps a little bit of a change as we head into the weekend. But yeah, yeah, staying with that sort of easterly flow. Again, if we put on the mean wind mean wind speeds, you can see over the course of tomorrow the wind will mainly be in from the north or the east. You can see that northerly by the early hours of Monday, and it will veer more northeasterly as we progress through the day, coming in off the North Sea. So that's why down through eastern regions it could be quite cool, and as we head into Tuesday, continually easterly flows. Look at that coming in off the North Sea, and that continues all the way through the rest of the week. And that's why west will be best, where the winds are more mixed, air masses mixing more together and feeling a little bit better there. You can see where the high pressure is, because you see it going in from a southwesterly round the high pressure, spiraling back in. And as I said, as we head into next weekend, we could see a bit of a change. High pressure could topple more over the top of us, which will change that wind direction a bit, but we will just have to see nearer the time. If you look at the upper air temperatures, though, you'll be able to see that at the moment it isn't too bad, and that's because we got that warmer air mass in control, but a colder air mass will be spreading in from the northeast, and you can see that spreading in over the coming hours. And you can see by sort of this evening that cold air mass is spreading in for all -3 or -4 degrees at 850 HPA, a proper Arctic air mass spreading in. It does get warmed up significantly as we head through Monday, because we are lower latitude. These sort of air mass can't sustain themselves this time of year. But as we slowly progress beyond, you can see generally average to below average air masses. For maybe Thursday to Friday, we start to warm up a little bit, but still with that flow in from the east, it could mean that surface conditions still don't improve all too much. Now, if you look at the temperatures, you can see through this afternoon, widely 20 degrees or even higher in many areas of England and Wales. So yeah, not too bad, really quite pleasant. But behind the weather front, 13 or 14 degrees. And that's the sort of air that will be coming in widely tomorrow. Now, as we head into Monday afternoon, you can see maybe isolated 16 or 17 along the far south coast, but for most areas around that 14 to 16 degree mark, and along the eastern region only 10 or 11 degrees. Really not too great. As we head into Tuesday, very similar, maybe 15, 16 degrees along the east coast, perhaps not quite as cool as on Monday with that easterly flow, perhaps more turning into a northerly, and that you can see that through Scotland, much cooler across northern areas of Scotland, 7 to 9 degrees, but still overall not a particularly warm pitch average, so maybe below average in a few regions. As we head into Wednesday, another quite similar picture. East coast and into the far southeast, the wind direction may be coming from more of a strict easterly there, so parts of East Anglia and Kent only 12 or 13, further inland 17 or 18, so slowly gaining in temperatures, but still nothing exceptional. And finally into Thursday, you can see again temperatures are starting to widely climb, and you saw in the upper air temperatures a minute ago that they were climbing later in the week, and that will be giving this little bump to the temperatures, maybe more 18 or 19 degrees. So it will be chilly at times over the next sort of 5 days or so, but as we progress towards the end of the next working week into the weekend, it should progressively turn warmer as that easterly flow does get cut off and warmer air masses do start to waft in and dominate. So that's the only good positive we've got. Next few days could be quite cool, could be quite chilly in a few regions, but by the end of the week, the latest signs for it to turn a little bit warmer and to remain fairly dry. So if you now have a look at the GFS and have a look at the longer range, you can see the northerly winds is going to arrive over the coming hours and keep us in sort of a slack easterly flow because the high pressure is sat out to our west, perhaps not quite as strong as the runs were showing yesterday. And as we head beyond that into next weekend, high pressure more sat over the top of us, perhaps that easterly wind cut off, but most importantly, if we look at the upper air temperatures, slightly warmer upper air temperatures than what we're seeing over the coming days. We've got more greens mixing, and that is why those temperatures are slowly climbing back towards the high teens by next week. For which do stay on the upper air temperatures, you can see it could still be some cooler air masses at times, but generally high pressure is in control. As I said, the colder air could drift down the east coast at marginal points, but as we head into the longer term, generally in warm air masses, generally high pressure stretched out to our west, keeping an easterly flow. But you can look out to our east, the air is actually increasing, so it might not be all too bad with what's happening in the longer term. But as I said in yesterday's video, we're at a time of year where an easterly wind can be warm and it can be cool. And you can see the upper air temperatures towards Scandinavia is increasing. Therefore, that perhaps into the longer term, even if we did maintain an easterly flow, it might not be all too bad. This sort of pattern, if it does stay on this trajectory of generally warmer air masses under that easterly flow, it might be actually really quite pleasant as we head into the second half of May. We'll just have to keep a very close eye on it. Subtle differences, subtle different changes in wind direction and air masses can make a whole huge difference at the surface. If we saw this sort of pattern, wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing high teens or even low 20s most days with generally dry conditions. Wouldn't be too bad as we do end May. Now, if you look at the GEM, see how that does compare. Again, the cooler air moving in at the moment. High pressure generally back in control. Again, could be easterly winds for a time there, and right towards day 10, generally still under higher pressure. And if you look at the upper air temperatures, will generally be not too bad. Generally quite warm in places, but still perhaps slightly cooler in Scotland. So quite similar from the GEM. Again, could be cooler conditions at times, but overall, the general pattern is for the jet stream to shift northwards, higher pressure to be in control more often than not, and generally pretty decent conditions as we do progress towards the end of May. Now, if you look at the ECMWF, again, high pressure in control. Slightly cooler conditions coming in over the course of the next few days, especially in the east, and you can see quite a strong easterly flow at times, and right towards day 10, we do see another low pressure system come in from the north. And that could, again, give colder northerly or easterly flows, and there's always the risk of that as we head towards the end of May, a sort of very similar condition to what we're having over the next 24 hours or so. Most of the runs don't go for this, but again, just showing you that even it could even be warm and dry for a few days, and we could see another one of these cold air masses moving in. And you can see it on the temperature deviation. It is really cold for the time of year, a good 68 degrees below average. Now, if you finally finish on the ensembles, you can see it is a generally upwards trend as we do head towards the end of May. Cold over the next 5 days. Can't emphasise that enough. Some regions will be really chilly. Again, thermometer temperatures don't always show the full picture. Even in some regions, it could be 15, 16 tomorrow, but it will feel more like 11 or 12. Really cool compared to today, where it is almost 10 degrees warmer in some regions. But as we head towards around the 20th, around 6-7 days' time, those upper air temperatures do flip to average, to maybe above average. And as we head towards the end of the month, are generally average or above average. A few go cool, like that ECMWF run did at day 10. Could be a brief northerly or stronger easterly there with some colder air for a time. And there is a pep up in precipitation there. But again, I think that's really associated with those cooler air masses bringing in low pressure. The majority are keeping us warm and actually really dry. That is the one positive thing we have seen from many of the ensembles over the last few days. Is that precipitation signal has really decreased. It's been on a very good trend if you're looking for something drier. Hopefully, we can see the warmth of that as we head into the longer term. You can see today it's 20 degrees and the upper air temperature is around 5 or 6 degrees. And if you extrapolate that into the longer term, we could be looking at consistent 20 degrees into the last week of May if this sort of pattern does come off. Now, that isn't actually that exceptional for the end of May into early June. We'd expect to see high teens, low 20s quite widely. But considering what we've had recently, what we've had over the majority of the spring, where those temperatures have been really up and down with plenty of cooler spells, it will be pretty decent if we did see something like that. So there could be glimpses of that as we do head towards the end of May, the last week to 10 days. And that's where the models are trending. But just as we thought maybe 5 days ago, it was looking more unsettled and persistently colder, that's now transitioned to more of a drier, colder sort of 5 days. The same could happen here, where it's looking pretty consistently dry and consistently warm, but this could just be a trend, and the models could sort of have it for a few days before move it away as we do head further into the future. So we'll just have to really keep a close eye on that. Again, the 2 meter temperatures are definitely increasing in the longer term, back towards high teens, if not touching 20 degrees into the last week of May. But you can see in the next 5 days in the London area struggling around 16 degrees or so, and the next 2 days maybe only 13 to 15 degrees. And the sea level pressure is going to be generally high over the next few days with the easterly flow built in. Into the longer term, still generally on the higher pressure spectrum around the 1015 to 1020 millibar region. But the issue we have with that is little upper troughs could bring a few showers in places. So it is looking generally dry, but it's not a huge high pressure blocking system, nothing sat right over the top of us. So there will always be the risk of some convective showers in this sort of pressure setup, even though the precipitation signal from the ensemble members isn't too high right now. That really is showing low chance of any frontal systems. Now, after you finish by looking at the ECMWF ensembles, very similar, cold over the next 5 days, stretching to average after 7 days, and then above average as we do head towards the end of May. More precipitation here as we head into the end of the month. So perhaps ECMWF not quite as bullish on something more persistently dry, and the problem we've got with that is it could be thundery with warmer but slightly more unsettled conditions, but again, we are clutching at straws there in the longer range. Very difficult to say what will happen. Again, you could account for the high precipitation spikes, being that there are 50 ensemble members here, so there is more of a spectrum for outliers and for more unsettled runs, but broadly, it's pretty similar to the GFS. We've got pretty decent cross-model consensus on the general trends of colder over the next 5 days, generally drier, with uncertainty building in for the precipitation to the longer term, but a general upwards trend as we do progress towards the end of May, where at the moment most ensemble members are average to above average instead of below average, what we have right now. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you do enjoy the warmer weather through the rest of today, and hopefully this week, even though it could be chilly in a few regions, especially down eastern coastal areas and even further inland at times, hopefully it will still be a pretty pleasant week as it is looking generally quite dry. So temperatures might not all be too great, but generally pretty dry conditions. Temperatures in the mid-teens, maybe pushing higher teens towards the end of the week. Much better than what we have had at times this spring. So make sure you do go out and enjoy it. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.